Back Brown, just what do you see from him, and just how much of a challenge is he going to be to just contain?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, exceptional athlete. You got to go back and watch the season before 23 and then the first part of 24. But I think you go back to 23 to kind of get a real feel of him, where he was hitting his stride at the end of the season right there. When he's in the game, you're playing 11-on-11 football. You always have to account for him in every run game. You have to account for him to scramble in the pass game. He's got a big arm. He's a big, much bigger body than a lot of the mobile quarterbacks are. I think he's 6'3" plus. He's 230 pounds plus. He's an impressive athlete on film.
You guys, last year in the past have done pretty well against mobile quarterbacks. What is it just about your scheme or your guys, or do you feel like you have found some success there?
Yeah, I think kind of. We've been okay in the past. I don't know if we were great. There's been some of those games where the quarterbacks got loose on us a little bit, but I think the guys have to understand, it becomes triple option football where everybody's got a number, everybody's got somebody to account for, and you have to be very, very assignment sound, whether, you're the dive, whether you're the alley, whether you're the pitch, even though it's not triple option. There's still a pitch phase somewhere. There's still a quarterback run somewhere. There's still a dive somewhere. So those guys have to be very, very assignment sound. Their eyes have to be clean. And obviously this team, South Florida, poses another issue because their tempo is, I think it was number 1 or number 2 in the country last year as far as how fast they're moving from play to play. So also getting your eyes clean pre-snap and then post-snap, getting your eyes clean on what your person's doing, what your keys are doing. So there's a lot of different issues out there.
A challenge like that in game one, I mean, sure you never like that. You have to face somebody like that, but just game one with the tackling needing to be on point, all that kind of stuff that goes into it. Just what's this kind of challenge like right out of the gate?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. In fall camp we've worked. I know you guys have been at practice, so we've been working tackling more, but it's still you're never getting as many live tackles as you want. And then coming up onto a game like this where you're gonna have to tackle people in space. So like you see on film, right? Like they're going fast, and people get the missed tackles really come when bad leverage happens. We've been victim of that in the past as well. So we need to be really good with our leverage, really good with our alignments, and then we've got to have. There's going to be missed tackles, but they've got to be good missed tackles. They've got to be ones where we're in proper leverage, we're getting our shoulder pads and their thigh boards, and we're knocking it back to our other buddies that are coming from the opposite leverage. And this team's going to go fast. People are going to get tired, but we have to have relentless pursuit, whether we're tired or not.
Yeah, I'm just going off that. It's got high tempo, it's got weather, the humidity, first game of the season. How big is the depth going to be specifically for this first game, just getting guys in and out?
Yeah, obviously we're going to have multiple packages to use our personnel the right way. And then you're going to have some guys, some depth players are going to have to step up and play some bigger roles in the game where you're, potentially playing a high number of plays and the game's moving really fast. So you're going to have some able bodies and some guys that we've trusted. We've developed depth with those guys, but there's going to be a big challenge for those guys who are not necessarily quote unquote the starters, but are going to get a lot of time in this football game.
Just with that being said, especially the interior linemen, the depth chart is pretty deep either side. I guess how are you feeling about that group of guys and just defensive line as a whole, I guess?
Yeah, I feel good about it. We definitely are not there. Like we need another week of work. This has got to be a great week for us. And I know we put out a depth chart and all those kind of things, and that comes from all who knows where. But this depth chart is still open in my eyes. Like I don't know who those starters are on that defensive line because we've got a lot of competition going on right now. There's still some starting positions that are going to be sorted out, and there's still some who's going to be the next guy in the game to be sorted out. So this week is going to be huge for that group.
You had Braxton and Jaden, but a lot of newcomers or guys that fans maybe didn't play as much last year don't know. I mean, it's largely a new group there along the defensive line. I mean, I guess when you go back to January, you're putting this whole group together, trying to replace who you knew you lost. I know you said you're not there yet, but overall, just this group and a lot of newcomers, and how do you feel overall? Just a big picture about the group.
Yeah, I think I felt leaving spring ball, I felt like we made a lot of progress. Early in fall camp, I wish there was a little bigger step forward, but then here, the last week of fall camp, the last week of practice, I really started to see it come alive and where we kind of envisioned this thing. Just like I said, we got some work to do, but I really had started feeling good about that group probably last week, that they really understand what we're trying to get done. The technique is really coming around, and guys are executing at a high level.
Bo Phelps makes the change from safety to linebacker, and here he is cracking the depth chart. What has he shown you, and how big of a role is he going to play?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think ever since Bo's got here, we knew that he was a really good football player. I think it was, about finding the right fit for him. And he made a lot of plays, and he's had some good seasons coming up, but we just kind of pulled him aside and said, hey, we think your best days are ahead of you, and, you're fighting to stay at your weight so you can play defensive back. Let's turn you loose and let's see how linebacker goes right now. And he played a lot of dime last year, which is, has a lot of similarities to the will linebacker position. So for him to go down there, him being able to gain some weight and finally eat like he probably wants to eat, and then I think he's also, that happens a lot when you're out on the perimeter at safety, at corner, and you may be a really good football player, but you're maybe not the most explosive guy, the fastest guy at that position, and all of a sudden you move down a level, and now you are. Like that breeds a lot of confidence, and Bo's playing very confident right now. He's making a lot of football plays. He's playing well on special teams and defense, so I'm really excited for Bo.
Erik, obviously last year, Tubes wore the green dot for you. Who gets the honor this year and why?
Yeah, I think right now it'll be Marco. If there's any changes to that, we'll let you know. But I think there's multiple guys that can wear it on our team. But Marco, similar to Tubes, like those two can handle a ton of information, and they can get it out to the other guys. There's other guys that, not to say they're not as smart or anything like that, like that's just not their game. They need to call, they need to see what's going on and let it be. But I think Marco can do a lot of things for us wearing the green dot just like Tubes did.
His playing time, Marco's playing time last year, ebbed and flowed quite a bit at times. I'm assuming that's not necessarily going to be the case this year. How important is he going to be to the success of your defense?
Yeah, I think Marco's earned the right to play a lot of snaps of football, and sometimes he's going to be out, so we'll have to have that backup green dot ready as well. But Marco's earned the right to be on the field a lot. Marco's a big piece to this defense. He gets the front set. He's making the calls. He's making the checks. And, I think the guys believe in Marco just as a whole. And I think he just gives us that extra bit of security out there.
That's fine, go for it.
With Banks and Mickey, how have you liked Banks and nickel, and you guys list them as or? I mean, are they both, you think, going to play a lot, or I know you're getting different stuff with dime or whatever, but I mean, how do you see that competition at nickel?
Yeah, I think there's times where you can see them both on the field, and I think that if there's only going to be one on the field at a time, both of those guys have earned the right to play as well. And I think that position is a position where sometimes not having to play every single snap is a good thing, because there's a lot of different jobs. There's coverage jobs, there's zone jobs, there's blitz jobs, there's being in the run fit, and there's a lot of those things that have to get talked through on the sideline. So being able to get a different guy in there and talk some things through with somebody is very helpful. But both those guys have had a really good camp. Both those guys have played really good football for us, so I'm excited about those guys.
Outside of the quarterback play for South Florida, is there anything else they do that you guys are going to have to specifically address or that really impresses you?
I mean, obviously getting the line to tempo, and they do a really good job of. Sometimes the tempo teams are, they're in one or two formations. They do a really good job of having some motions, having formations. They'll get in unbalanced, so we've had to work a lot of unbalanced stuff. They can get in a bunch. They can do a lot of things at high speed, which is impressive. And then the other thing is, like, they can have quarterback runs where the normal quarterbacks runs where it's read zone and those kind of things, and there's also some quarterback generated runs where it's quarterback counter, it's quarterback power, where he is the designated ball carrier. So you have to work, working very hard on those quarterback runs, all the different styles, and they do a very good job of getting him plays that he can be successful at. And then also, they obviously use those big splits, so we've had to work a lot on those because they can isolate receivers and or just get you in kind of man coverage in any defense you have.
You've coached in Florida, so I'm sure you're well aware of the importance of being ready for anything weather-wise. How impressed were you with kind of some of the things Spencer did last week with, simulating the weather delay and, simulating the heavy rains and all that other stuff?
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good idea, and not only, of course, you're simulating the rain, but you also want to see, like, how do people respond from whatever the adversity is, going into the locker room and changing venues for that practice, like who's going to respond. Some guys responded really good. Some guys, we have to work on that a little bit with them. But he did a lot of good things, and he's getting us ready for what we need to get ready for. But he's also, as you get through the end of that fall camp, there's a little monotony that builds up, and those were nice change of paces where the kids had to focus on something else. We're not just going to 7-on-7 run now, and we're not just going to one-on-one pass rush. We're going all the way in, and we don't know when we're going to go back out. And now we're changing fields, and there's water hoses going everywhere. So I think that was a cool idea by him. I think it was good for not only preparedness, but also giving the guys a little change up.
We spoke with Jeremiah Irby last week. You just talked, with any player, sure, but you talked about the importance of confidence in his game, and maybe it wasn't what it needed to be first half of last season, and then he figured it out and he played great. So, what have you just seen out of Jeremiah confidence-wise? And do you think he'll start the season ultimately, maybe faster than he did last season?
Yeah, I think Jared's done a great job. All those DBs, those veteran guys have done a really good job. But I've seen Jeremiah, I think, to what you're referring to last year, he was kind of worried about getting himself lined up and worried if he was doing the right things. And I've seen him have confidence enough in his own game where now he's coaching those younger guys, and he's even helping the veteran guys, hey, we should do it like this if they get out there next time. So I've seen him just take a huge step with his growth, both football IQ, knowledge of the scheme, and then also the confidence piece that you talked about. So I think Jeremiah's going to start fast. He's going to have a really good year.
Coach, you talked a little bit about it, but could you expand a little bit on Marco? The kind of player this guy is, what he brings to your defense headed into this matchup against USF?
Yeah, I think, just for everybody, myself included, when he's out there, you just know there's a very low probability of things going wrong. Right now, they can go wrong at any point in time, but when he's out there, like, he's going to check it if we need it to be checked. He's going to get the front set correctly. The blitz pattern is going to set correctly. If they line up in a formation that we maybe haven't seen, he's going to get this thing right, and he's going to communicate loud. That's why I like him on the green dot, because I can tell him, hey, Marco, that D tackle's, go get him lined up. So anything that we need to get done out there, Marco can handle for us. And the guys have confidence in Marco that he's going to be lined up, he's going to do his job, and he's going to help others get their job done. So I just think it's a huge, in Jay's words, a huge confidence for the staff and the players out in the field when Marco's out there.
Spencer's talking, he always wants to be the most prepared team in the country, and if something goes wrong in a game, to adjust quickly. How often does game one go as planned?
Not very often. And I guess it can go as planned. It's just there's going to be new stuff, right? Like South Florida is going to do new things. We're going to do new things. There's going to be things that we're not prepared for, that we're going to have to make adjustments. It's kind of become not easier, but a little bit more manageable now with the iPads and those kind of things. At least you have the film where you can show the guys. But there's going to be everything in this game. There's going to be mistakes by me, by the players. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be new things that we haven't seen that we have to adjust to. And that's going to happen to both teams. So whoever handles that the best probably has a really good chance to win the football game.
Anything else?
What do you do for a 4.5 hour flight usually?
4.5 hours.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, we don't take too many of those. But usually on the flights, I'm watching practice from that morning. And then if that ever gets over, maybe throwing a movie or something if there's a new one. But most of the time it's watching the practice from that morning, because we're usually practice, hit the shower, right to the airport. So that's the only time we got to kind of watch that practice.
Cool. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.